So it's Monday, and I've been talking to my parents today, and a couple of things that I think would be interesting to talk about. The first is my dad. My dad runs a stamp club. He's involved in stamps all over Europe, and he's really passionate about it. Once a year in the old days, they would meet up, and one of their meetings actually would have been a few weeks ago. But in the current climate with the lockdown, obviously that wasn't possible. So what did? They jumped on a Zoom and they had their first committee meeting on Zoom. This is all sort of a hobby, a passionate pastime. And what was really clear for Dad talking about it was that the financial cost of going to these meetings, having 10, 20 people travel internationally across Europe to meet up for a few days, well, it doesn't really make sense to do that. Yes, it's good to meet face to face and break bread and shake hands, but actually it was more effective getting more done by simply doing these Zoom calls that they can now do on a monthly or bi-monthly basis. And it got us thinking about how differently many people operate in their lives moving forward. Now, as simple as that can sound to talk about, and it's a really simple thing I think many people have noticed, they can do meetings by phone, by web, over WhatsApp and Zoom and other systems. It's not what people were doing before. So why was that? Why did people not shift to the new system beforehand? Often maybe they didn't know about it, there wasn't a reason, enough pain to have us move, or enough potential upside. And often it's not until you start doing things that you see what's really possible, the experience of it, not the story about. Mum was talking about one of the plants in her garden, these box plants. These are really amazing plants that grow really quickly, and she's been passionately growing these now for some time. But this year, what she's seen is an infestation from this box caterpillar. And we googled up, found some photos online to talk about. And this didn't really exist in the UK 20 years ago. In fact, it was really about 10 years ago that this happened. And one thing I noticed in the photos that Mum shared is that the outside of these plants would often look okay. There was nothing wrong with them. Until suddenly you'd notice they were dying off. And as you look closer, you'd find not just one caterpillar, but so many caterpillars with their amazing little webs and everything else going on. And these caterpillars actually spin webs around themselves to protect themselves from being seen while they're actually eating the plant. And it got me thinking about this, similar to what I just shared, which is that often the outside of something can look okay. We can say nothing's wrong today, but actually the damage is already being done. The insect is already getting into that system, that plant. And I think for us as individuals and as a collective community, often what we can think as being workable today, the outcome, the outputs of those processes may not reveal what's actually going on the inside. There might be fundamental challenges and breakdowns that haven't yet come to the surface. And so it got me thinking about how in this current climate, those areas that I look at and go, you know what, that wasn't really working before. I don't want to repeat that. You've heard us talk about pause, stop, reset, I'm sure. And there's areas that I thought I knew needed to be paused and stopped and reset. And I'm also clear that through what's gone on the last few months, I'm seeing things that maybe I'd missed before. And it has me wondering what else that I've put up with or not noticed was actually an area of real depth and growth to dig into, to invest time into, looking really carefully and doing a full deep dive audit. Now I've done this more than once over my life, and often it's easy to have the blinkers on, to not see what you can't see because you're not looking for it. In fact, when we first talked about these plants in the garden, you'd have walked past them day after day after day, not knowing that the eggs were there, let alone that these things were even a major problem that had started in London and spread out from that area. And it got us thinking about how do you actually solve the problem? How do you handle these things once they're there? And unfortunately, some problems, once they've started, you can't just click your fingers, press a switch and go back to square one again. You have to dig down and really restart and reset. And just because you could do that, maybe not the best thing to do. So it's a Monday. People around the world are sort of starting up their days and their weeks. And I also think we're in an interesting time. We've seen clearly the changes in the globe as people start to rethink about what life can be. And I think it also points at that conversation that I touched on earlier, which my dad and I talked about, which is that often people were traveling for meetings. They were traveling to connect with people. And that said, I love to break bread. I love to physically meet with people, shake hands, and spend really quality time getting to know who they are. And there is something that gets lost over distance. I don't think anybody out there would say, look, I'd love never to physically meet another human being again. I don't think it's practical. I don't think it's what any of us want. But there is an ability to connect over phone and web. And also, there's something about the live meetings. So what does that turn into moving forward? We'll have to wait and see. But I do think we have a chance to really look at what's really possible, and what might never have been working for us but we think it has up to now. So with that said, I'll leave you with that for Monday. I'll see you next time, and hopefully that gives you some food for thought. Bye for now.